Hey everyone! Today I was working on writing about my magic night out, Jade Doll, who's down below here, on my Flickr, and I was thinking about the story behind her, and she is kind of what inspired this video that I'm making now, and I just have to get this out while I'm thinking about it, and it's fresh on my mind. I think as doll collectors, especially like now in a world where we have access to other doll collectors 24/7 on the internet, and there's almost like a community of us here, I feel like it's really easy to lose sight of the core of why we collect. I feel like we stop letting our own natural interests speak to us, and it becomes all about curating this aesthetic that we want our collections to have, and like which dolls we want to have. And what I've learned over the years is that some of my most special dolls picked me, and I didn't pick them. That might not make sense, but let me explain. I think that, for me at least, my most genuine interests in life, even outside of dolls, whether it was music or making things, whatever it was never something like I sat down and decided like this is what I want to do and I'm going to be into it. Life doesn't really work that way. It's sort of like when you go to make friends, it's not the person that looks like you and dresses like you, or like the attractive people that you think look nice and you want to be friends with, that you click with and that you become friends with. It's just the people that you happen to cross paths with in life, even if they're very different than you, even if they're nothing like you at all, if they come from a different background, if they have a different personality type. It's those like random people and those random things in life that we click with that become our friends or become our interests. And that is very true when it comes to dolls. I never sat down and said to myself, I'm going to be an American Girl collector. I'm going to be a Bratz collector. I'm going to be a Barbie collector. I never even said to myself, I'm going to be a doll collector, because that wasn't something that I really chose. That was something just deep down that was always there, that I fostered and gave attention to and allowed it to grow into what it is now. And I think that when I started my journey on social media with doll collecting, I lost sight of that because I got caught up in that game of comparing myself to other people and feeling pressured by what other people expected from me, and also feeling bad about myself because I didn't meet other people's standards, because I would look at someone's collection that maybe was more curated than mine, or maybe was nicer than mine, more complete than mine, or maybe because they were very passionate about something I never paid attention to, that would make me feel inferior, and then as a response to that I tried to force myself to be someone that I wasn't. And I think that that's where so many of us go wrong. That it's okay to like what you like. You don't need a reason for that. You don't need to have a game plan for everything in life. I think the thing that makes me so happy as a collector now is that I don't have rules or standards or expectations for myself. I just let it free, and what speaks to me is what speaks to me. And that's why I'm not the kind of person who thinks well in advance about doll lines that aren't even out yet, and what I think, and do I need them, and will I buy them. I feel obviously it's good to get excited about things when they come out, or to budget your money right, but I think that too many people feel this pressure to define themselves as collectors and to define their interests by these boxes, and that takes the fun out of it. I feel like so many people want to pick one doll type because they feel like they have to. Even when I look at people's accounts on Flickr or on YouTube, there's so much doll division, oh, I have to label myself as an American Girl collector, or as a Bratz collector, or as a Barbie collector. And that was one of the things that I really didn't want to do on my channel, and that's why when people ask me to make special videos just for Bratz hairstyles, or just for my favorite Monster High dolls, why I stay away from that, because I am a doll collector and I am not defined by like one type of doll. There are some that mean more to me than others, but to me they're all equal. They're all just dolls. It doesn't matter how expensive they are, or how cheap they are, or how nice they are, or what bad condition they were in. I think that back when I was younger and less sure of myself, I definitely tried to force interest on myself. I definitely didn't let things happen naturally. And Magic Night Out Jade is the perfect example of this. So I got her in 2013. Now, when the Bratzilla's dolls came out into stores, I genuinely did not like them. And I'm not one to usually say that. I'm not one to usually like feel very strong negative emotions for something. But I saw the Bratzilla's dolls and I thought that they were ugly, especially first edition Jade, because she had red eyes and they looked creepy and demonic to me. I really, really did not like them. So if you find Bratzilla's dolls ugly, don't feel bad, because I thought they were too. This had nothing to do with like them copying Monster High or anything like that, because I wasn't even into Monster High when the Bratzillas came out. Like, I didn't care about that. I just thought that they were ugly. And I was also offended that they were affiliated with Bratz, because I love Bratz so much. And they were just so ugly. Like, how could the same people make them? What ended up happening is, as I got to see them more and more, they kind of warmed up to me, and I liked them, and there were certain characters I wanted, and I started with just Victoria Antique, and then a few months later I went to buy some on sale at Toys R Us, and that's how I ended up with a few of my other dolls. But that day we stopped in at Walmart, and there was this big clearance section, and it's this like really awesome Walmart that's like an hour away, but it has all of these toys in clearance all the time. And I was looking for just random treasure, and I found a bunch of Magic Night Out dolls, and when I picked up Jade's box, it was like this feeling that I hadn't experienced in a while. Now, I like a lot of dolls, and obviously, like, if it's a doll, I'm probably going to feel something, like, warm and fuzzy towards it, because I'm just so into them. But it's not every day that you feel, like, really passionately when you see something where you're just, like, like, you're out of words. Like, you literally don't know what to say, because this doll has taken your breath away. And even though you might not have ever seen this doll type before, or you might not have ever paid this any attention before, the second you see it, you just know, like, it speaks to you. And she spoke to me. She was just, like, not literally, but she was speaking to my heart, and I just knew that I needed this doll. She was so beautiful, and so just, words couldn't even describe her. And so, because my plan had not been to get her that day, because my plan had been to only have a few of these Bratzilla's dolls, because I was trying to, like, get better about my shopping demon, I ended up leaving her at the store and going to a different one instead, and I thought I would be able to leave her behind, but I couldn't. And so we ended up going back to Walmart, and we bought her anyways. She was only like $9, I think, so it wasn't a big deal, but she had not been in my plan, and especially since I didn't like the first edition Jade Jador, like, she was the ugliest doll I had ever seen in my entire life, I never thought in a million years that she would be the reason I got so into Bratzillas, because it was ultimately her that made me just go bonkers and need them all. And within a very short span of time, I had like most of the dolls behind me, because they were all on sale and they were being discontinued from stores, so I happened to catch it at the right time. But she is the reason that I feel so much for Bratzilla's dolls, and that's just one example of one doll in my collection that has shaped it in some way. Even when it comes to Bratz dolls, I played with my friend's Express It Yasmin doll as a little girl, and I had seen them only like once or twice before, and I had thought they were ugly, and I never thought that I would be interested in them. But when I played with her doll, her Express It Yas spoke to me in that same way. It was that same feeling, and that was what ended up in me having like almost 800 Bratz dolls all of these years later. Just like my first Barbie, I was never a girly girl. I was never someone who liked, you know, frilly things. I mean, I tended to like boy toys more as a kid, and just in general, like, I spent a lot of time with my dad, so I definitely wasn't like my sister who loved wearing dresses and loved playing princess, like, and dolls aren't a feminine thing necessarily, but that was how, you know, they're typically stereotyped, and so I never thought that I would be like super into dolls. But when I got my first one, who was half bald and second hand, she spoke to me in that way. She was magical. It's like this magic that you feel. And I think that the point I want to really stress is, like, don't lose that magic in your collection. Don't forget that, like, that is the ultimate feeling that we all want to experience. And when you focus too much on, like, things looking a certain way or having a certain aesthetic and making rules for yourself, it's easy to lose that because you become so focused on everything being perfect that you're not having fun with it anymore. And it's not to say that it's not good to know your interests and to have focuses and to make plans. That's all good too, but never forget to just enjoy those moments and those dolls that are just kind of thrown upon you. Those things in life that you never think are going to happen to you but will shape you in some way. It's good to just roll with it, because you can have all the plans in the world and you can have this image of who you want to be and what you want your collection to look like, but life is always going to throw things at you that are going to change that. And it's just so much more freeing to just roll with it and to allow your collection to be what your heart wants it to be. And I never regret those impulse purchases that really spoke to me, that really changed me as a doll collector and helped me discover something that I never thought I'd be into. I hope that this could help some of you guys out, and maybe if this is something you do struggle with, you know, like doll aesthetic, just know that you're not alone. And I think that it's good to have, you know, like, labels aren't all bad, and having a defined set of interests isn't bad, but it's important to also allow yourself to change and allow new things to influence you and those unexpected circumstances and those unexpected dolls to speak to you. Because when a doll speaks to you, you should always listen, figuratively of course. If your dolls are actually talking to you, that's you might have some problems. So I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.